So tell me, what will you do when disaster strikes suddenly? Not far away, but when it happens right in the heart of where you live. Do you know the 6 essentials that will keep you alive when things get really desperate? We'll tell you right now. Those essentials are food, water, shelter, medicine, a means of self-defense, and a plan. The action plan for contingencies. If you have each of these essentials in place, then you increase your odds of surviving exponentially, so that you don't have to live like a refugee. Our motto is Prep to Action, and John, your host, will teach you everything you need to know about staying alive when things go south. So subscribe to the channel and learn how to save your own skin. We'll see you on the inside.
I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she is required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday night, and it's the zoo. That's right. So we're welcoming the preparedmind.club. We're welcoming YouTube, and we're welcoming Subscribestar. That's 3 handfuls of fun. And we've got one heck of a broadcast. We're going to be on for approximately 2 hours here, broadcasting from the newest CGI bunker known to man. Thank you, Mr. T, for the great new promo materials, etc., etc. Let's have some fun. If you have a thought, you want to share some ideas, right up there is the super chat button. That's how you get your question on the screen. I'll make you famous if you've got something to say, you've got an opinion, a prediction. You look at history, which is kind of what the thumbnail is about, but it's also about today. Everything. Now, let's get into it, shall we? This weekend, Saturday, I released a new Aquatic Adventures video. And apparently, for some reason, a lot of people watch it. They're like, oh my God, has he said that SHTF is over? And the answer is no. No, shit has hit the fan, folks, and it hit hard. We're not done with it. I've tried explaining to people every weekend. I go train, I go swimming, kayaking, boating, something to get out. So it's 6 days of SHTF and a couple hours on Saturday to relax. So people throw a fit. Oh my God. It's not all that bad for me to have just a few hours to relax. As if 12 hours a day, 6 days a week isn't, well, anybody can do that. Yeah, but how many people actually do? I know I do, and I know a lot of you do. So here we are, folks. It is the Prepared Mind Sunday Night Live. This is the zoo. And I want you to hit the thumbs up. So YouTube goes, yeah, that's a popular channel. I want to see that. Thumbs up, right? And then sharing the internet address up there helps. Now, why did I use that thumbnail? Ooh, so controversial. Right? So controversial. What was the deal with Hitler? Why was Hitler so bad? Well, let's see. He silenced his opponents. He put his political rivals in jail. He punished people for opposing the Nazi regime. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what they did. They did not allow anyone to have their own thoughts. It was their way or the highway, and only their way. Going the Nazi way was the only way to go. Well, here we are today. How many of those things are just like 1930s Nazi Germany? Well, folks, there's an opinion out there, and it's being expressed. Iowa Republican respondents to a poll agreed with the statement that the persecutions of President Trump and his supporters is reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s. And you know what percentage of these Republicans said that? 57%, folks. If Iowa is representative of the rest of the country, and it is, then half the Republicans think that Nazi Germany is happening right now as you and I talk. Hello, America. This is your wake-up call if you are not already awake. It only gets worse from here. That is what I'm telling you and everyone right now. I say fight back now, or don't bother fighting at all. And recall this, 20% of the population supported the 1776 revolution, and 3% actually did the fighting. Now, if half the Republicans in the country realize we're in Nazi Germany, that's 25% of them. 20% supported the revolution. Right now, 25% agree that things are really, really, really bad. The question I have for you is, are you prepared? Now, in the new information, what is John doing here? I'm telling people, right, wake up. If things get bad, if there's a food issue, there can be a food issue, a fuel issue, an electricity issue, a travel issue. There could be a pandemic. A number of things can go wrong. And if you do not have food, months worth of food stored up. Food is expensive, yes. I'm not saying go out there and buy a bunch of veal. I'm saying get things like rice, beans. Those are staples, right? Some carbohydrates. Get canned meats, proteins. Get vegetables. Get noodles, pastas. Get lots of sauces, canned beans, canned chili, stuff that a lot of people think, that's for camping. Well, what else is it about camping that we have? We got, camping, no electricity. Well, unless you're glamping. No electricity, no running water. No electricity, no running water. No electricity, no running water. When shit hits the fan really bad, you could have that very situation. Right now, we have SHTF light. It's all light and fluffy. We still got gas and electricity. We still have food. We still have water. But if things go bad and there's a food shortage, and we'll talk about that here very shortly, if there's a problem with the water system, the power system, how are you going to get along? Do you have a generator? Do you have solar power? Do you have the ability to go out and get water from a spring, a pond, a creek? Do you have a way to filter it, to clean it, to make it sanitary, safe for human consumption? If you have a physical health condition, a lot of people out there have mental conditions. Do you have, right, for the mental side, the information you need to stay calm? For the health side, do you have the medication you need to stay healthy? And if someone gets hurt, do you have the medication that's needed to help them heal and recover? SHTF, it's here to stay. Yeah, John has some aquatic adventures. And by golly, there's men and women involved in it too. Ooman, Lily, Nikki, and many others, folks. Many others. Many, many others get involved, or I have become involved in their worlds. From the very rich to the dirt poor and everyone in between. I am, what do you call this? I'm nonpartisan. I like to train with everybody. But, it's just a good time out there. So I guess we ought to get into this, right? Let's get into it all. I want to start with this one right here. Chin Music starts the show off with a $55.56 super chat donation through Venmo. That's right. We've got super chat button, and down below we have Venmo, PayPal, and CashApp. Those are other ways. So a $50 donation or more buys a Glenn Levitt 18. And that's how we're going to start this whole shebang off. With that, this right here, Chin Music, thank you, brother. And we're going to get to your question here. Down the hatch. You got questions? Woo! Mother's milk right there. Thank you, sir. You've got questions, and I've got my answers. You don't have to believe me. You listen. You weigh things, the scales, something that Uman calls balance. 6 days of SHTF, and I'm trying to balance it with half a day of a little relaxing, and it's helping me survive. All right, let's get into it. All right, this is what Chin Music says. He says, John, this is my perspective as a guy who lost a great friend in Afghanistan, who went in to rescue people during the withdrawal. And I think the withdrawal he's speaking of is when Biden withdrew, or we could use the word abandoned Americans, allies, civilians. Now, Chin Music continues. He has not been heard from since. So Chin Music's friend went to Afghanistan and has not been heard from since. This is what he says, and Chin Music continues. When I heard that full suit of human excrement known as FJB tell a Gold Star mother, quote, Jill and I know how you feel. We received our son's flag draped coffin from Iraq, end quote. Chin Music says, I lost my shit. I lost my shit. And so did several of my ex-military friends. We know this story is BS, and so does the media. I can't take these people and their crap anymore. I have switched my registration to independent. The Republicans only retreat. They don't seem to understand to battle you move forward and engage the enemy. All they do is try to win a surrender. They must be on the client list, meaning Jeffrey Epstein's client list. I don't have another explanation. I am left to be there for my friend's young son he will never see grow up, which I accept with honor, but much anger as well. He would have done it for me. In other words, Chin Music is stepped into the father figure, male role model for his friend who disappeared, trying to help people, the tens of thousands of Americans that Joe Biden trapped, left for dead, abandoned in Afghanistan, which was taken over by a theocratic, extremist, murderous regime known as the Taliban. He said, speaking of his friend, I'm now going to return to Chin Music's comments. That's the kind of person Joe Biden just shit on, his friend. I love my country, but can't stand my government. Thoughts? My thoughts, Chin Music, I am incensed at this point right now. I'm not violent. I'm not dangerous. I'm not a terrorist like so many operating from within the Washington, D.C. system, the deep state. But I'm incensed. I'm pissed. Every time I'm reminded of what that POS did, the Biden administration, the Secretary of Defense, the Pentagon, these world leaders, the World Economic Forum, super rich assholes like Zuckerberg, George Soros, Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, Barack Obama. These people are really, folks, they're filth. They truly are. Look at what they have done. And as far as the Republicans go, Chin Music, the concept of uniparty, that is to say that there's no difference really between most Republicans and the Democrats. Right? You could look at the Rhino Republicans, Republican in name only, Rhino, and they are nothing but Democrat light or Republican light. They're not independent. They just sell out. Why the hell hasn't Jim Jordan done something real? Why hasn't Kevin McCarthy called for impeachment? And there's more on that tonight as well. It's happening, folks. The only way you and I are going to get any satisfaction is by expressing ourselves. And Chin Music has done that. I think he's gone to Chip's congressional office. And whether or not your congressman is a Democrat, independent, Libertarian or Republican, if they represent your district, you can talk to them. You don't have to be in the same party. So give them a piece of your mind. Tell them who you are. As far as the Republican Party goes, what are we looking at here? They hate Trump. Well, how bad can Trump be if the Republican Party hates him? We know the Democrat Party hates him. We know the socialists hate him. We know communists hate Trump. So what is Trump? What is DeSantis? What is Governor Abbott? Know them by their deeds, not their words, their deeds. Are they ignorant or are they intelligent? Ask yourself these questions. And I think we all need to. Are they perfect? No. Have they made mistakes? Yes. Are they American or are they traitors? Look at the politicians out there. We're going to talk about some more of them tonight. That is things that I want to discuss. This is your show. And right now we're covering Chin Music's thoughts. And I really want to thank you for bringing this very sobering topic to light. Afghanistan. It's a horror show. Right now, folks, that is also continuing in Syria. It's continuing in Niger. It's continuing in formerly Eastern Ukraine. These people are putting on a horror show everywhere. And they're taking money from us under threat of jail or gun. And they're giving the money and paying for the weapons of war to be used. That's the government I oppose. Is it my government? Well, it's the government of the United States, which means the government of Washington, D.C. My government is the state I live in. Washington, D.C. is merely there to represent the states and the people to other countries. That's how I see it. Federal rules, right? There's not a whole lot in the Constitution that says the federal government can tell me what to do or tell states what to do. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room in there for them. It should be very narrow stuff, right? My government wage war, yeah. Look what happens when people trust the federal government. In Washington, D.C., you go there and protest, they throw you in jail for years. No trial. Violate your rights, knowing that you have constitutional rights, knowing that they're exempt in Washington, D.C., forts, arsenals, dockyards, territories, etc. What kind of government knows the rules that we all govern ourselves by and then chooses to ignore them and apply their own set of rules and standards, even though they were originally empowered, authorized, the U.S. government in D.C. by that very Constitution, which they choose to ignore within their own boundary. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. They're scum. And people that went to Afghanistan and they fall under the jurisdiction and care of the federal government in foreign lands. Look how Washington, D.C. has treated them. Absolutely awful. All of us, folks, will face that. All of us will face that from our own country, our own government. That's what we get. That's what we get. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it, man. Hey, we've got 296 people here live. Make sure you've hit that thumbs up button. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. Blue Cord Devil checks in with a 762 super chat donation. And he says, hey, just stopping by to say hi. Wife passed away Thursday morning. Asking for prayers for her and our families. Peace and prayers, everyone. Watch your six. Blue Cord Devil, I'm very sorry to have this news brought up here. And prayers, best wishes to you and all the families associated. I know it's been a long time. You've shared with us the information about your wife, and she's moved on. Condolences, sympathy, and you're a strong gentleman. I'll talk to you again later, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Blue Cord Devil, for letting us know how this is concluded. And we'll talk to you later, man. Okay, Mr. Uman, we just topped 300 people live. I want us to hit much, much higher. Who are we going to see? We have some more super chat donations out there. We sure do. It is Will Savi with a $5 super chat donation. He says, who is the lady on Aquatic Adventures? A special friend? All right. Will is talking about the Aquatic Adventures channel. That was the Prepared Mind BC channel. And for a couple of years now, especially the last year, I've told people, hey, look, on the weekends, I hop out. I go do things. I get some training. I get some fresh air. I clear my mind from all the things we talk about from Sunday Night Live all the way through the week to Friday, where we conclude the week with the Friday free-for-all. And by the end of the week, folks, I put in all of my time and then all of my professional time. I get up every day, 0 dark 30, hit the road, do a video then that I release, get to work, pressure pounding to get things done all week long. And then I come home and I do videos every night. Yeah, a special friend, someone, and my other friends, we go out and we do things. We go out and get some fresh air, some exercise, and do stuff. And I just thought, I think it'd be beneficial for everyone else to do the same thing. Like I said, 6 days a week and, well, a couple of hours a week just to relax and try and get that to balance my life. Right? A lot of people go, John, is SHTF over? Of course not. Holy shit. We've got over 10 years, at least in my opinion. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have a scotch. It doesn't mean I won't have a cerveza. It doesn't mean I won't get a coconut rum drink sometime. It doesn't mean I won't hit the sand, the surf, or the swamps and go do stuff, right? So the lady is Lily. Beautiful, funny, intelligent, and very much a prepper, by the way. Yes, she knows all about the Prepared Mind channel. She's probably even a subscriber. I've known her for a couple of years. A lot of fun to be around. And I'll tell you what, anyone who ever complains that I actually sat next to a woman or complains that, boy, John, what are you doing? You have just given me more trouble, more criticism, more crap than she has in 2 years that I've known her. She never gives me any crap. She's a friend. And that's how a friend should be. They should support you in what you do, not shit on you because you don't like what they're doing. Right? Anyways, this is great. I love the fact that now people are like, what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. Get in good physical shape. Make sure you keep your head on straight. Keep it clear. I spend all week in the trenches with you guys here on The Prepared Mind. And a couple hours a week, I get out and have a little bit of fun, right? I don't own a boat. I don't own a boat. I don't own a lot of stuff. But a lot of people that I've met here in the South do. And they're like, hey, you meet people, you network, just like growing a prepper group. You network, you meet people, you talk, and you discover a lot about yourself and them. You do. You'll find out, folks, as I have, that there's people out there that are far more radical than me. And they make far more money than me. They have houses that are bunkers, right? People are preppers out there like you wouldn't believe. And they're just waiting for it. It's very fascinating. And Aquatic Adventures, right here and right here. That's right. There's no rings on these fingers. Not married. So no funny jokes about that shit, huh? Anyways, yeah, it's good. There's a lot of good people out here. So get in the mix. Get out there. Have fun. Right? Well, how's that old saying go? That biblical thing. Eat, drink, and be merry today, for tomorrow we die. Well, I don't think we're going to die tomorrow. But I'll tell you this. Right? It's not eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Eat, drink, be merry, just because that's part of being alive and being human. But don't stop prepping. Don't think that everything's just hunky-dory, because I don't think so. You can think for yourself. Look out there. See what's happening to people, men, women, kids, Republicans. Look what's happening to our country, the legal system, the education system, the financial system, the monetary system. Take a look around at the military. the border. Look at how many of the allies of the United States government are now abandoning the United States government, which means we, the American people who have trusted the United States government to take care of things, is failing us. And what's worse is it looks to be intentional. Absolutely intentional. All right, great topic, really. And Garbage Benny checks in with an Australian $20 super chat donation. And he says, when is disease X going to hit? I never got a vacation during the last scamdemic. Hi ho, it's off to work I go. When is disease X going to hit? What he means is, I think what Garbage Benny's referring to is the real pandemic or the next pandemic. They're threatening us with it. They're threatening us with it, Garbage Benny, already. Oh, good golly. By 2024, there's going to be a new version of the Corona cerveza bug, right? A new version, a new mutation. You realize that in 2019, that's when they first discovered COVID-19. That's right. Every year it changes. We should be up to C23 and C24 next year. It's interesting, folks. The amount of people out here, and I talk to a lot, they have different opinions. They're like, hey, this Jim Jones juice thing has been around for a long time. I'm like, really? Tell me more. Tell me, because I need to know. And they're like, yeah, it's been around a while. It's never worked. They've tried it for years and years, and every year the cerveza bug coronavirus changes. All they do is give it a different name. Yeah, it's the common cold. Wow. Anyways, are they ever going to release a disease X? And instead of mentioning the next, shall we say, manifestation of the cerveza bug, how about disease X being something real, something really bad, something dangerous? Well, the other day I talked about leprosy. There's a rise in leprosy. Mr. Skylight sent me a lot of information about other issues like cancer. Cancer is on the rise, huge. It's accelerating cancer. People's immune systems are shutting down. People are getting sick over nothing, sick over everything, sick over anything. Is that disease X? Right? What is the other one? Anthrax. Now we have anthrax on the loose. How fascinating is that? How about this? How about the Black Plague? Should that be it, right? So Garbage Benny, I don't know who's got what and when it's coming. But if you've got a weakened immune system, which is what I think the Jim Jones juice is supposed to do, all they have to do is release something mild. And you're going to see a massive percentage of the population suffer under it. And God only knows how many will die. For those of you who are aware of the Deagle report, imagine this. Imagine people getting a little cold, a bad cold. Imagine them releasing a disease that's been modified through their labs, their gain-of-function labs, that's a little stronger than normal, that just makes me and you kind of sick if we get it. Yet people with a weakened immune system, because they took the Jim Jones juice and they got boosters and boosters and boosters. Well, even though it's just a little worse than the common cold, all of a sudden it's going to feel like death. Like the Grim Reaper is knocking on their door. If they kill off 5 million, 10 million in America, 20 million, we would all shit, wouldn't we? Then there truly would be a problem. We're going to find out. I don't know when it is. It's just like everything else. When, Garbage Benny, is disease X hitting? When is the financial collapse going to be apparent? When will the currency fail? When will society collapse? When will a civil war begin? It'll begin when they, the powers that be, want it to happen, because they'll cause it to happen. Any of those things. When is there going to be a military coup in Washington, D.C.? When they're good and ready to have one happen. Could that be after Trump is reelected? If Trump is reelected, they could have a military coup. They could stage it because they want it to happen. Nothing happens without permission. There are no coincidences. Test it for yourself. All right. Thank you, Garbage Benny. Who else is next? Mr. Uman. We're plugging along. We are halfway into the first hour of the show, and Mr. Skylight checks in with a $19.99 super chat donation. And your super chats go to making sure I've got Spam, I've got tuna fish, I've got other canned meats, right? And that my pantry is stocked, because I can't live without food and I can't live without water. I can live without self-defense, but for how long? So I've got that too. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there. It's all around me. So Mr. Skylight always, and I want to thank you, sir, because I asked him today, I said, I would like to start off the first half hour with one of your great quotes. And he wrote this: by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. That is a quote from Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, a great constitutional brother, right? A great patriarch, a very interesting man, a lot of mystery surrounding him, and a great inventor, a statesman, an author, scientist. Benjamin Franklin. Imagine, folks, if you took a science book, opened it up, read it, you could duplicate scientific experiments all over the place. Ben Franklin had none of that. He was like, well, screw it. I'm going to go fly a kite in a lightning storm. I wouldn't do that, but he's like, let's find out what happens. He had a lot of little electrical gizmos that he was working on, trying to understand what electricity was, how it was generated. Interesting stuff. But is he right about preparing? Well, about 50 years before 1776, Ben Franklin was a young man who was already writing and complaining about British, English, if you will, abuse of the people, abuse of their rights, etc. I would think that between that time and for 50 years until 1776, Ben Franklin, who was also a diplomat, a diplomatic envoy, a representative of the colonies that went to England asking for reprieve, for help, and then going to Europe and asking help, meeting Voltaire, meeting, I believe, the Marquis de Lafayette, meeting all manner of allies. I believe he even got von Steuben, who left, I believe it was Prussia, which is Germany, and he came and helped George Washington with the troops in Valley Forge. But George Washington did not go to Europe, but Benjamin Franklin did. So let's again look at his quote. He might know something about it, having lived through 50 years of oppression and the American Revolution. He said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Not a bad axiomatic thought to have. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Thank you, Mr. Skylight, again, for your great support, for making sure I can come back here on a weekly basis to talk to you guys. A weekly basis. Okay, let's do some more super chats. Super chat donation buttons right up there. And Johnny Freedom C checks in. He says, so happy to hear now that we were never forced to take the Jim Jones juice, even though so many lost their jobs or kept them while losing their freedom. Enough is enough. We, the people, cannot put up with this SHTF shit. I tell you what, Johnny, you're right there with all of us, right? We cannot put up with this forever. But what's interesting is that's exactly what the government wants. They want you to tolerate it, you to accept it, you to live with it, And not only that, but they're going to take it and it's going to increase and increase, and it's going to go parabolic, and it'll go straight up through the roof, because that is how tyrannies work. They will push and push until the system breaks, the country fails, the people revolt. The people get pissed off. The people fight each other. Now here's the deal. We the people, where are we going to go? Who are we going to blame when things get really, really nasty? Think about it. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Who are you going to talk to? The local government? Things get bad and worse. The state government. I mean, knocking on a wall made of stone or concrete. Does anyone in there give a shit or listen? Who has the real power? It's funny how government is always in our faces. This office, the IRS. This office, the DMV. This office, the other tax collector. The police are all around us all the time, letting us know, if you screw up, we're taking you to jail. Yet if we have a problem, we need it fixed, who do you talk to? Everyone in government's like, not my job. I don't know shit. Not me. They forced people using coercion, lies, propaganda, and duress. They forced people to take that crap or they lose their jobs. They terrorized the American people, the government did. Forgive them? Hell no. Everyone who works for the government participated in that scheme. I don't work for the government. I never have. Well, not since I was a jarhead. But even then, I believed I was working for the people. For the people. People who think they're working for the people, that's interesting. How are you going to prove it when the government is abusing the shit out of everyone? Right? If I were to, let's just say, know someone who was a bureaucrat and things went shitty, they went really far SHTF south, and I were to go up to them and say, what was your job again? Why didn't you do something about it? And they go, I've got no power. It's interesting how no one has any power. No one has any power. Until it's time to what? Fuck us over. Governors have power. You bet. The police have power. You bet. The executives, those are the ones who are enforcing the law. They have power. Legislators can propose a change, but it's the executive branch. Understand and remember that. That would be law enforcement on the local, state, and federal level. Prosecutors and the courts have power. They can reach out and they touch us individually. We're losing our freedom while they increase their power. Pay attention to it, folks. Understand. And if you find yourself shoulder to shoulder with people you don't like, you may or may not be in the right place. It's going to be an ugly mess if things go really, really south. All right, Johnny Freedom Seed, great super chat donation. I appreciate your support, making sure that I get the fuck back and stay back. I cannot just run off to the RMZ. Not anymore. Not where we're at. It's safely snuggled in the jungle. And that's good news. Okay, Mr. Uman, we got Truth Faction with $9.99 super chat donation. And he says, looks like Ozzy knew more than we gave him credit. Generals gather in their masses just like witches at black masses. War pigs. That's exactly it. Ozzy and the band Black Sabbath wrote a song called War Pigs. Generals gather in their masses just like witches at black masses. Sounds a little bit like our government, does it not? Because it is. He says, Semper Fi, Marine, from John's San Jose neighborhood. Semper Fi. You're in San Jose, man. Wow. That interchange on the 680 that goes and if you go from San Jose and you go around over to Alum Rock, Milpitas, Fremont. I remember that interchange in the 70s being built. I don't think it ever got finished until what, the 90s? Or is it still under construction? Anyways, what an interesting place to grow up. My first 9 years, the South San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah. Remember the commercials, Cupertino, San Jose. What a world, folks. It is wild. The people who sang songs, that sing songs out there, they seem to know what they're talking about. And that brings me to the topic of the guy who is now making music. I've got his story right here. It's right here. I have so much stuff to talk about, folks. It's incredible. Here it is. You want to talk about music that matters, that's hitting home right now? There is a fat red-headed dude, a nobody, an amateur musician who has struck a chord. He has the #1 iTunes hit. He's even surpassed the "In a Small Town" song, right? Try that in a small town. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oliver Anthony's hit song. Well, Rolling Stone, the magazine, has been fully triggered, right, by this hit song. And they've lost their shit over it because it references a lot of different things, right? They're infuriated because Oliver Anthony is blasting, quote, high taxes and obese people on welfare. That's some of his lyrics. And the toilet paper magazine, the toilet paper music magazine, Rolling Stone, is especially irate that Anthony even alludes to Jeffrey Epstein, who is, the banker and political elitist who was convicted, who is a convicted pedophile, who owned a private island where he allegedly supplied some of the most powerful and wealthy people with children for sex. So he alluded about them, right? Now, well, am I wrong about Epstein? Why would Rolling Stone magazine give a shit if there was a reference to Epstein in this song? Right? And by the way, am I wrong about Epstein? Show us the client list, that client list that was just referred to a minute ago. That's right, the clients list for Epstein. Hello, FBI. Who is on that client? Who are Jeffrey Epstein's clients? A few of them are out in the public right now. In fact, Prince, whatever the hell his name is. Who the heck was this prince? King Charles's brother. I can't even remember his name right now. He's such a douchebag. Anyways, he was Epstein's good buddy. Clinton was Epstein's good buddy. Looks like, there was some kind of reference to Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Bank having something to do with it. And they paid out a bunch of money. It's incredible to me how many people are associated with Jeffrey Epstein in positions of power. And the Rolling Stone wants to run to his defense. I guess the elites don't like music or social media that exposes them, right? So expect more censorship of social media. And now music, they need to start it with the music. No putting a political message in music. It's too dangerous. You see all that right-wing violence out there? You see all those riots and looting and burning? No, you don't. Republicans don't do that. That is the left, the political left, Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all the radical left-wing socialist types that, well, Democrat governors and mayors all loved federal Democrat politicians like Joe Biden, who's now president, Kamala Harris, who's now vice president. They supported all of that trash, but they're afraid of a little bit of music. Remember when music was a form of expression about politics from the 1960s and 70s? They made songs about the Vietnam War and their opposition to it. Now it's incredible. The people on the left are all for war. That's right, in Syria, war against Russia. They're all for it. So expect more censorship against your music. But don't worry, the music of the hip hopsters and the rapsters, they can continue to inspire and keep the ghetto youths having street orgies and gang wars and drugs. Folks, everyone needs to wake up. White America, Black America, Hispanic America, everyone needs to wake up and see what these people are about. If Rolling Stone is opposed to a song when they built their pile of crap magazine empire on the very thing, music, now they don't want it. Sounds just like social media that built their empires on everyone having free speech until they don't want you to have it. It's exactly what is going on. Exactly what's going on. I mean, I remember as a child all of those anti-war songs. I was 4 years old, 5 years old. That's where we're at. All right. Thank you, Truth Faction. Mr. Uman, who wants to step up next with another super chat donation and a super chat question? And it is Brad Jones with $2. He says, why again did Venezuela fail? Are heading there? Well, I'm not heading there. You mean, are we, or is the U.S. government heading there? Yeah, they want that. Now, Venezuela, whoops, they had one of their political rivals down there. He met with certain death, assassinated a political candidate, assassinated. Probably wanted to make some positive changes in Venezuela. Can't have that. No, folks, they want socialism. They want world socialism. Funny thing is there's a lot of different types of socialism. The two primary types, subcategories, are communism and fascism. That's right, fascist Nazis. You know, Hitler. Fascist Nazis were socialists. They just had very powerful corporations funding the leadership, putting money in the political leadership's pockets. Remember that, because when you look at Washington, D.C., what is it that powerful corporations are doing? What is it that they're putting in the political leadership's pockets? Sam Bankman-Fried fraud, that guy fraud much? Billions and billions of dollars, billions, tens of billions disappeared. They won't even say how much. From his crypto scam he was running, he would send over to Ukraine and then launder it and then send it back to America. What kind of socialists do we have in Washington, D.C.? The kind that just want political power, or the kind that want power and money for doing what they do? And if they want power and money that they get to keep, are they more like the communist Chinese or the communist Soviet Russians? Or are they more like Hitler and Mussolini? Ask yourself those questions. Why, again, did Venezuela fail? Socialism. You bet. Socialism. Thank you, Brad, very much. Mr. Uman, we're closing in on the 1 hour mark. Have we got some more super chat donations? And by the way, we're over 400 people live. That is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So share that internet address with others. They need to wake up. If you haven't done so already, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscription button. Be a subscriber. And there's a little bell there. Hit the notification bell. I recommend it highly. Because if we put out a new video, some new thoughts, a new idea, or heaven forbid an emergency happens, that will notify you so you get the message. Now, Will Savvy with a $5 super chat donation. And you can hit the super chat button up here. And then down below, we have CashApp, Venmo, and PayPal. Will Savvy says, no arm ticket here. Maybe I could sell something pure to help ladies have a baby. Most males took the jab. Business idea? Oh, you bet. I imagine, folks, that people who did not take the Jim Jones juice, I think that their seed, if you will, as Will Savvy suggests, is going to be something of value. That was already an industry that was created. I'm surprised we haven't heard more about it. Between that and donating pure blood that isn't infected or contaminated. Now, we have a lot of questions out here, and we're still waiting for a lot of answers on it. That question is, right, if you get the Jim Jones juice, you're screwed. If you're a normal, unjuicinated person, can you pick up enough of their trash that it'll screw your body up forever? Or is it just something that, like every other disease, our body just takes a little time and kicks it out, throws it away, gets rid of it? I guess we'll find out. I guess we will. But yeah, that is a great business idea. I think you should look into that, Will. What a mess. What an absolute mess. Mr. Uman, who's down in the trenches. We got Luke Thompson with a $2 super chat donation. And we're sitting at 427 people live. I want to get to 500. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't. Make sure you get that address out there. I want to hit 500 today. Now, Luke Thompson says, everybody needs to listen to the song by Oliver Anthony. Richmond, north of Richmond. Richmond, Virginia, folks. Just north of that is Washington, D.C. That's who he's singing about. And God bless him for doing it, too. God bless him for putting passion, for putting energy into this song that he wrote. I wish all the best. I wish Oliver Anthony success in his music career, and I hope he continues to inspire Americans to be free and to think. Right, that song, right? Try that in a small town. Again, I think that should have been try that shit in a small town. Country music needs bigger balls, folks. It truly does. We need to stop being timid and being cowardly. That's for all of us. We all need to step up and tell it like it is. That's how I roll every single day in my life, is trying to tell it like it is. Truly. Now, you want some of that? I'll give you some tell it like it is right here, folks. Did you know that in Wisconsin, parents are having to take their daughters from sports teams? Pull them off the teams, right? Because transgender players, folks, are leaving girls with welts and bruises. Aren't those trannies cute? Isn't it so wonderful how brave they are? They need to be opposed. This whole idea that they're special. They need to be put in a class all to themselves, including the classroom all to themselves. Because then they'll see that they're not special. They're just like all the other dipshits in there. That's just how it is, folks. These people are absolute dipshits. They're looking for attention. And a lot of people have tattoos. And I want to use this as an example. I am not putting down people with tattoos. Trust me on this. But there was a time when most people didn't have tattoos. You know, let's see, soldiers and Marines, sailors had tattoos, bikers had tattoos. Right? That was a thing. And then people started to want, I guess, attention. And we started with the tramp stamp on the back, and then people got more and more and more and more tattoos. Now their arms are covered, their bodies, their legs. It's a form now of artwork. All those people that wanted attention for having tattoos, guess what? They're not getting it anymore, are they? People who want tattoos for the art is one thing. People who did it for the attention is another. When I look at these fruitcakes, these left-wing lunatic, look at me fruitcake crybabies, what is it that they want? They want attention. They want to be special. They want people to address them by their pronouns. They want people to look at them, but don't you dare insult them. They want to play, they want to go into your daughter's bathrooms, your granddaughter's bathrooms and showers. They want to expose themselves at them and get attention. And you can't say anything about it. That's what I'm telling you, is we need to say something about all of it. All of it. All right. All right. Let's do this. Let's do some more super chat donations. Mr. Uman, here he goes. Uman says country music needs to go back to outlaw country and not pop with the southern drawl. I'll tell you what, I agree 100%. you know, country music is country music. When John Bon Jovi switched over to country, I thought, how the hell does that happen? You know, how does that happen? He did just fine with rock and roll, I thought. Yeah, it became pop rock with a southern drawl and some of the instrumentation. I do, I do like outlaw country. Right, I grew up and you'd hear Jerry Reed, and let's see, George Jones, George Strait, Hank Jr., Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, Bobby Bear, David Allan Coe. What a filthy SOB. There's a lot of real heavy-duty country music, folks. It was its own thing. Yeah, today it's just pop music that appeals to people with I guess, an accent, people that live in the country. This Anthony fella, I hope he makes country music great again. That's good stuff. I love finding people with southern accents down here in the South. Makes me very happy. There's a lot of fucking Yankees down here too. And that's fine, I guess, provided they have the right political persuasion between the ears, if you know what I'm saying. All right, Mr. Ooman, we're at the 1 hour mark. We got Diorce checking in. Part man, part horse, part deer. That's Diorce with a $22 super chat donation. And I need a sip here. 22 long rifle. He says, I'm a little late to the stream. So does anyone know what really happened to Maui? I'm not trying to get into conspiracy theories, but what happened and how did said wildfires be allowed to get out of control? Well, I probably spent more time in Maui and specifically in and around Lahaina and Keanapali than most people. Over 20 days I've spent there. I've been in Oahu and Big Island as well. Now, Lahaina town has got the old Front Street, the old district on the waterfront there. It's been there and in action. The buildings that were there, especially next to the banyan tree, they look like old Western buildings, been around well over 100, 120, 150 years. Beautiful old buildings. Fun area to be. Very touristy, but what the hey? That's Lahaina. Great restaurants. I loved the Lahaina Fish Company. I ate there at least 3 times. Jimmy Buffett had one of his cheeseburger in paradises right there, a 2-story building right on the water. It was great. How a fire roars through a residential area, a city area with streets, just like in any town you've ever seen. Streets going, well, east-west and north-south, asphalt, running water, electricity, just like a real city. Just like a real city. How does a wildfire get into residential buildings? Now, I know that they've been building up. There's a highway, then there's going to be a bypass. Last time I was there in 2018, there was a bypass being built to go around because of traffic. There's just so much traffic there, just because people wanted to go to Maui. Beautiful. More houses being built, developing. Yeah. But the hillside there, folks, it's dry, not deserty, but dry. And then once you go up the hill, it is rainforest. And either in the morning, at night, during the day, in the evening, you get rain. You just be standing around and be covered in fine rain mist that's blowing out of the clouds above the rainforest. How this place got to a point where a wildfire can get so damn hot that it burns out of control and absolutely roasts an entire town. I guess there's more than one fire now, or it's an extension of the other one. Somehow it just moved up to Keanapali, which is the next town up. If you head to the west, kind of northwest, you can't go much further than that before it turns into a 1-lane highway that goes around the west, northwest, and north side of the island, all the way back to Kahalui, and that's a fun drive. Probably more dangerous than the road to Hana. Anyways, Maui. This is a complete disaster. It's a tragedy. I don't know how it got out of hand. I don't know if it was allowed to. There's a lot of people with your conspiracy theories, Diorce, that are saying this looks like a directed energy weapon, or like accelerants were used. Perhaps a weather control weapon was used to help focus things. Could it have been a space-based laser that heated things up? We've seen evidence of this in the past. We saw evidence like this in 9/11. There were elements where part of some automobile was scorched and other parts of it were left just fine. Whereas in this fire, like many others, cars are burned, incinerated to the ground that shouldn't have been incinerated to the ground. All right, we've seen this sort of thing in California, in Santa Rosa, and then again in Paradise, where these fires get so insanely hot that they'll melt steel, even though wood does not burn hot enough to melt steel. And even if you have high winds to create furnace-like conditions, how can it burn a steel building and then 20 feet away, a tree is still living? It is insane to think that this is natural. What I can't say with any degree of absolute certainty, absolute meaning I know for sure, is what is the mechanism by which this is done. I've got to tell you, I know islanders. Like I said, I've been to Hawaii many times. In California, I worked with islanders from all over the Pacific, and I love them. They're great people. I don't think that any of them deserve to have this kind of attention put on them, this kind of destructive attention. It's absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. And on a big island, right down there in the active volcano zone, I sure hope they're not continuing to drill and put chemicals down inside the volcano that are having effects on it. What a mess. This is the first time we've addressed Maui, Dior. So I want to thank you for supporting the channel as you have for a couple of years now, at the very least. We're at 441 people live right now. I want 500 folks. You know, the only way to get people to wake up is to give them information. Is to give them information. And if they don't know what's going on, right, they're waiting. They haven't seen enough convincing information. Now in Maui, folks, there's at least 80 people dead. There's at least 1,000 people missing. What I don't understand is where the hell they could be. There's one highway that goes around the island. One highway. In between, in the center, are extinct volcanoes, rainforests, and that's it. There's no place to live up there. Living off the land on a jungle island is no easy task. I don't think there's 1,000 people up in those frickin' jungles. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff going on. Let's keep going, folks. There's a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Now, Uman brought up the Illinois State Supreme Court decision that Governor Pritzker's assault weapons ban is constitutional. Well, I tell you what, folks, the response of the people of colonial America was constitutional as well. The acts that happened at Lexington and Concord were men standing up for themselves, their families, their country, that is to say the colonies. They stood up against the English. That was perfectly legal as well. It was constitutional. Their personal constitution said, we're not going to put up with this anymore. 1776, that was constitutional. The Declaration of Independence was constitutional. So what I say to Pritzker is come and take them. I wonder how many people in the state of Illinois have the same attitude. Many people, folks, many people have left and come here down south. I've seen Illinois state license plates for the last 3 years. Is it 3 years? Yeah, almost 3 years that I've been back from the RMZ. Seems like just yesterday. I packed up the bags, turned around, looked at the yurt. I tell you what, I do miss it, folks. I do miss it, but the fight is here. The fight is here. It has to be won here, because if we don't win, there'll be no place to hide. If we don't win now, there won't be a future in which we get to win because of what they're doing. What they're doing. And what are they doing? Let me take you here. Skittles has now partnered with, joined forces with, the far left group which supports, that's right, sex change procedures, gender affirming care. In other words, genital and reproductive mutilation for children. And on the wrapper of Skittles are the Black Trans Lives Matter kids. Folks, boycott candy, boycott Skittles and the Skittles parent company. Now they're using candy. Candy is being used to groom children by putting their sick, twisted, filthy rainbow message on candy. Right? Well, we can't use. Can we use candy and put guns on it? Yeah, boy, I tell you, folks, this is what they want. This is what they want. This is what they want. Your response, my response, our response. What do you think of this? And we're right at 450 people live. That's awesome. Now, this is the appropriate response to screwed up, messed up government. There's a former U.S. senator, and he was also a foreign diplomat. He threatened Joe Biden about groping his wife because he saw Joe Biden getting a little handsy, and he threatened to kick the shit out of him for it. I think that's an appropriate response. Don't you? Very interesting stuff, folks. Kick the shit out of him. The U.S. Senator's name, Scott Brown. He's an independent. His wife, Gail Huff, is a news broadcaster. Right? He was sworn in by the U.S. Vice President Joe Biden on February 4th, 2010. And that's when this exchange took place. Way back then, people knew who these people were. Way back then, right, Joe Biden was doing his thing. And the response was, I'll kick the shit out of you if you keep doing that. When are Americans going to wake up and start telling it like it is? Telling it like it is. I'll tell you what, Carrie Lake is continuing to tell it like it is. She is the failed gubernatorial candidate, the Republican who ran in Arizona, a Republican state, and lost to an extreme left-wing Democrat socialist, pro-child grooming, pro-child mutilation candidate of the Democrat Party. And the folks, the election news coming out of Arizona and Michigan and other states continues to show that there has been a massive, illegal, and tragic theft. And it needs to keep going, folks. And coming up next year, it needs to be prime time, front and center. Anyways, back to Carrie Lake, telling it like it is. She was at the Iowa, I believe, State Fair. She was at a fair somewhere in Iowa. And she trolled a New York Times reporter. And she said that she was milking a cow. She was sitting on a stool next to a cow, milking the udders. She says, go ahead and try and milk a bull and see how that goes. Right? Totally trolled the New York Times guy who was standing there. Right? She helpfully reminded reporters of a basic biological fact. There are only two genders. There are no cows that think they're bulls, and there's no bulls that think they're cows. And if you take a bull and cut off his testicles, he is still not a cow. and he can't have baby cows, and he can't produce milk. But I recommend all Democrats try. Go and milk a bull and see what happens to you. Wow. Okay, Mr. Uman, where are we at? What do we got rolling? Chin Music checking in with a $19.99 super chat donation. That's what we got rolling. Welcome back, Chin. He says, John, Al Sharpton said on MSLSD. 1 second, man. What he means is MSNBC, but let's just call it MSLSD because they're a bunch of hallucinating morons. I think that's the point Chin Music is making, as well as what he continues with. Al Sharpton said on MSLSD that the founding fathers couldn't imagine someone starting an armed insurrection. He's not a ton of sharp, is he? Viva Illinois and prayers for Uman. Okay, folks. Yeah, Al Sharpton is a race-baiting idiot. One of his, shall we say, calling cards used to be using a bullhorn to lead his protests, which he's been doing forever. Al Sharpton, especially in the 80s and the 90s, was very much. But he's a mouthpiece. He's a charlatan. He's a carpetbagger. He's a POS. He's a race-baiting jackass. And it's interesting that he doesn't understand that the founding fathers participated, encouraged, joined, and then won in their armed insurrection against the government. Because the founding fathers were those who wrote the Declaration of Independence after trying for months, years, and even decades to get England to respect their rights. He is not sharp at all. Al Sharpton is nothing more than a used car salesman. In fact, that's an insult to used car salesmen, and I apologize to all car salesmen, and especially used car salesmen. Al Sharpton couldn't sell ice to an Eskimo, but he will sell race hatred to everyone who feels that they deserve to own someone else's money. The same mentality promotes that, folks, right? That promotes communism, that teaches people to want other people's goods, right? Coveting the neighbor's property, stealing. That's exactly what these people are about, stealing from us and giving to themselves. Thank you very much, Mr. Chin Music. All right, what do I want to do next? You know what? There was something that I forgot to bring up. There's a great story. A Catholic church, a historic Catholic church in Lahaina, Maui, somehow was miraculously untouched by these wildfires. I almost forgot about that story. Like I said, I know Islanders folks, and they're very upset, and they're also very respectful. They're good people, and it's too bad that DC, Biden, and the Democrats have zero respect for law, decency, and our culture here in this country. Isn't it interesting how bad things happen to good people? And that's something I think everyone's always said and heard about. Why is it that the bad people get away with things and the good people, right, bad things are allowed to happen to them? It's because nothing's an accident. There are no coincidences. I'm really glad that this church was untouched. I think that's a good sign. It is. Now, I'm going to liven it up a bit as we climb up above 450 people live right now. Get this. Joe Biden. Let's go, Brandon. F you, Biden. That Biden, Joe Biden, his regime is going to spend $1.2, wait for it, $1.2 billion And what are they going to do? They're going to vacuum carbon dioxide out of the air. You bet. They're going to take out the carbon, folks. Where are they going to put the carbon? Carbon dioxide is a gas. It's a gas. Carbon dioxide is a gas. What are they going to do? They're going to put it in soda pop? That's the bubbles in your soda pop. That's the bubbles in your beer, carbon dioxide. But the Biden regime is going to spend $1.2 billion. Does he get his 10%? I bet he gets 10% of that. He gets $120 million for signing this pile of shit idea into action. But I want to ask another question. This is the John question. How much coal is going to have to be burned in a coal-fired power plant? How much coal will be burned to power the generators, to create the electricity, to power the vacuums, which are going to suck carbon dioxide out of our air? Right? Are they going to produce 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide in order to vacuum out 500,000 tons? This is the crazy bullshit these people in Washington don't understand. Or you could say they're actually trying to create more carbon dioxide while pretending that they aren't, so that they can collect a shit pile of money on the system. Everything to these people is a scam, folks. A scam. It's a total scam. Now, let's go with this. I want you to hang on. Earlier, I talked about preppers and food and the things you need, right? Thievery is growing, folks. Thievery is growing. Stores are closing. Hang on, preppers. Hang on. Stores are closing. Up to $100,000 in merchandise. It's not food, it's merchandise, was stolen from a Nordstrom or Nordstrom's. Nordstrom is a gas pipeline, carbon dioxide. $100,000 in merchandise stolen in Los Angeles at a Nordstrom's. Dozens of looters came in. Security guards, they were there, but guess what? They got sprayed with bear spray, pepper spray. $100,000 gone. What do you think the owner of Nordstrom, the shareholders, the board of directors, what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to put $100,000 back on the shelves, open the store up to the public, or do you think they're going to shut it down? Well, we've heard this story before, haven't we? Yeah, indeed we have. Indeed we have. Well, get this. Get this. In Washington, D.C., that's right, the Biden household zone, right? In Washington, D.C., a grocery store is threatening to close because of shoplifting. You bet, folks. They're calling it a food desert. When we think of deserts, what do we think of? Nothing available. No trees, no water, no animals. It's just sand. It's a desert. When we say desert, that's what we think of, right? It's a desert. Well, it's a food desert in Washington, D.C. because shoplifting is threatening to close things down. Folks, it's not really a food desert. It's a commerce dead zone. It's created by socialist Democrat rules. Remember, the Democrats are the ones who are allowing shoplifting. They're turning their eyes away. They're turning a blind eye to, just like in LA, these flash mobs showing up, overpowering any form of security and stealing all they can. If you lock the doors, they'll just break the glass and go on out. They don't care. They're absolute animals that are participating in this. This is a sign of the times. Big cities, San Francisco, stores shutting down, grocery stores, Whole Foods, major corporate chains, Verizon, not just food, but phones, everything. Same with Portland, happening. Seattle, happening. Washington, D.C., happening. What's this tell you? What does this teach you about the left and their cities? They're creating scavenger classes of homeless and worthless low-class people. And by low-class, I don't mean, folks, that they're poor. I mean low-class mentally, who have this idea that they can just steal whatever they want. So if you live in an urban zone in a big city, prep up. And remember that you live within a 10-mile radius. That is to say, in one day, people can travel 10 miles on foot. So who is and what is 10 miles around you? And understand, it just takes one day to come and get you. Get prepared so you don't have to go out if these people, these cockroaches, these parasites, these left-wing lunatics, if they want to come to your neighborhood. I pray they don't do the damage that they're doing to their own cities, but it looks like they're going to do their very best to do just that. Mr. Woo-Man, let's do a super chat donation. What do we got? So what? They got 3 to 4 purses? You bet. They got purses. They got shoes. Nordstrom's. They got perfume and cologne. Let's see. Maybe they got some electronics, shoes, shirts, pants. Well, $100,000 worth. Plus, I'm sure they smashed all the computers. If there was any cash in the cash register, they may have gotten that. Who knows what else they got, man? What else they got at Nordstrom's? No idea. I don't shop at Nordstrom's. I don't know if there's any Nordstrom's in the South. Donald Jackson throws out a $5 super chat donation. He says, John, what's your take on the Patriot Front? Folks, the Patriot Front. There are these guys that show up and they seem to have some discipline in the way they march around and dress. They all dress the same. They wear khaki pants. They wear boots, all the same color. They wear shirts, all the same color. And they wear a baseball hat and they wear a kerchief. They cover their faces. Those aren't patriots, folks. Those aren't patriots. Patriots don't cover their faces. I don't have anything to hide. This is what I look like, and I'm a patriot. Patriot Front. They manage to show up and march, and they get away with doing things that no one else can. To me, the Patriot Front, in my opinion, Donald, they are just that. They're a front. They're a cover. They're a bullshit organization. To me, they look like a bunch of FBI agents, a bunch of soft-handed guys. They all appear to be post-college doctorate age. In other words, they have their law degree and they've gone through the FBI boot camp. They're going to use that term loosely. Right? They look to me like a bunch of FBI agents. Now, they may have some other people that they have that are part of the Patriot Front that they use and expose their identification and their bodies. But when you see these other guys, they're either too skinny and small or too big and fat and too stupid. They don't look like the guys who show up at these protests. Patriot Front, and there's also a neo-Nazi group out there that seems to dress just like the Patriot Front. Just like them. They're all uniform dressed. And see, that way, the police know who they are. They know who each other are. Wouldn't it be interesting if the rest of us dressed like Patriot Front? Exact same pants, boots, shirts, hats, kerchiefs, and sunglasses too. There's just something wrong about a group that doesn't want you to know their identity. Kind of like Antifa. Kind of like BLM when they're committing their crimes. They don't want anyone to know who they are. Is Patriot Front committing crimes? Ask yourself, are they? Or are they just doing what they do? I keep waiting for Patriot Front to engage in a shootout with the government. I'm waiting for it. It'll probably be a false flag bullshit confrontation too. so that they can say, look, all these patriots, they're insurrectionists. Any patriot group that gathers, that's wrong. It's illegal, right? What place was it, man, where the government said you're not allowed to train with others, you're not allowed to shoot with others, you're not allowed to teach others how to shoot? The government is telling you you can't do that. Right? That's considered a threat. We have a lot of this going on, folks. But by using it, calling it the Patriots, right? The Patriot Front. Does that look like the Tea Party to you? Does that look like the militias to you that were out, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago? Remember when militias showed up in the 90s? They were the good guys. And then we had, that's right, we had the Oklahoma City bombing. And from that point, patriotism was bad. And then we had, 9/11. And then patriotism was good because we had the Patriot Act. And then, we got into some weird times. And now we have what? We have this crap going on. Pay attention, folks. Keep a close eye. We're always being played by the bad guys. And who are the bad guys? As far as I'm concerned, the bad guys are the people who don't want you to practice your constitutional rights. That's exactly how this works, folks. Unbelievable. This story came up a couple of days ago. Senator Rand Paul said there is no clearer case of perjury in the history of government testimony than Fauci. This is part of the problem people have. Attention, Washington, D.C. If there has been no clearer case of perjury in the history of government testimony than Fauci, then where is the Attorney General? Where is the Department of Justice? Where is the FBI? This perjury was in Congress. It was in a Senate hearing. Okay, Rand Paul, you're a senator. Charge him with perjury. Charge him with contempt. Bring him up on charges. Stop talking about it. See, this is the uniparty crap that everyone is sick and tired of. All right. I just got a message from Mr. Uman. Apparently, Corsair would like to offer his insights. He said, Patriot Front is the latest evolution of skinheads. As referenced earlier, I said there is a neo-Nazi group, I think out of Texas, that is one of these neo-Nazi skinhead groups. Corsair says a few minutes of internet searching will show you. Yeah, it's interesting that skinheads or neo-Nazis in Corsair or Uman, I'd like to see whatever Corsair has to say in response to this. When I grew up in the 80s and then through the 90s, I saw plenty of skinheads. I saw plenty of these guys. They were fucked up. They were strong. They were big. They were muscular. They were tatted up. They had swastikas they wore. They didn't wear cute little pants and boots. And they didn't give a fuck what anyone thought about them. They were serious racists. They didn't go to protests. They didn't march. They would go and beat the fuck out of people they didn't like. That's what the ones I know of did. And I've seen racist folks. I've met them in the service and out. And they do not hide their racism. They don't try and put on a pretty face. Why is it that the Patriot Front wants to put on a pretty face and act like they're patriotic? Now, I'm not saying Corsair is wrong. I just have questions. Right? The neo-Nazi skinheads I grew up with, not like they were my friends, but in the time frame in which I grew up, my teens and my 20s, they weren't disciplined. They didn't dress the same so they could be unified. Right? They dressed like a bunch of skinhead punks, and they were mean motherfuckers. So why are they different now? You look at the neo-Nazi skinheads or neo-Nazi Ukrainian Azov battalion. Same story, even though they're in the military, they still dress differently from one another. And they wear the tattoos, they wear the swastikas. But they appear to be less organized as a military unit, the Azov battalions. They appear to be less organized than the Patriot Front and these other skinhead organizations. So I want to know, and I'm being honest here, and I'm trying to be as respectful as possible with regard to other opinions. I just want to know, why are they different now? Where are they getting this idea of uniform dress? They're a bunch of weirdos, I agree. But I think that there might be some additional people out there. I mean, what's a neo-Nazi skinhead Patriot Front guy going to say in Texas if a bunch of FBI agents dress up like Patriot Front and wear their kerchiefs on their face and hide their identity and march and claim to be the same Patriot Front skinhead group when they're entirely different? But is someone going to run to the newspaper and say, hey, look, I'm one of these Patriot Front neo-Nazi racists, and those weren't the same guys as us? Is that what they say? Would the mainstream media give a shit? I don't know. I got some questions. I really do. I've got a lot of questions about this group. To me, they look like a bunch of fucking feds. They do. And if you go back to Boston bombing, you'll see a bunch of these goons. Actually, you won't be able to find the videos anymore, so I don't want to refer to it too much. But there were a lot of people wearing the dripping skull Punisher symbol on their hats, as they were wearing khaki pants, combat boots, and they wore backpacks that had a little white patch on them so they could be identified in a crowd. It's continuing to be one of those things. I don't want to make it sound too conspiratorial, but what the fuck? It certainly appears to be pretty damn conspiratorial to me. It does. Now, there we go. Uman says it ties into the whole Christian identity, church American redoubt movement, rebranding themselves. It wouldn't surprise me. I just never saw them as being that organized. I just didn't see it as being that organized. They would, I know they had groups, they had gangs, they had friends, they had connections, they had networking back in the 80s and then the 90s, and then the internet came and cell phones. And perhaps they all got together and said, hey, we need to be more organized, They used to hold protests. Hell, even in the 1970s, the early 80s. If you remember the movie, The Blues Brothers, right? They had Illinois Nazis, and they were holding a protest because and this is for the movie, right? They were holding a protest because they won a court case, right? So the Blues Brothers confronted the Nazis. Illinois, they're like, I hate Illinois Nazis, right? So it's one of the funnier parts of the movie, which of course played in to the overall plot in a very comical way. Wow. I guess they can get together, they can protest. And, of course, now this is the thing, is the media loves to use that. So I want to ask the question, if the media loves to try and say right-wing extremists are racist and they're white supremacists, why hasn't the mainstream media made more out of Patriot Front than what has been said? They're barely covered in alternative media. So why isn't NBC and MSLSD, MSNBC, right, and CNBC, why isn't CNN having on a nightly basis news stories about Patriot Front and their connections to Donald Trump's father and Donald Trump and Melania Trump? Why aren't they saying Patriot Front from Texas is supporting Ted Cruz, Senator Republican Ted Cruz? Why aren't they doing that and making up all their bullshit lies and using it? There is huge political capital to be farmed out of this story. They could fabricate all manner of lies and bullshit, but they don't. So it just raises questions to me, and I love to ask questions and wait for the answers. Now, before I move on, and thank you very much, Corsair, for sharing that. Man, there's just a lot of questions. There really are. I want to know why they're not making hay out of this. Darcy T sent her $50 super chat donation, and that is going to buy another scotch. Thank you, Darcy T. I needed this after that discussion of American Nazis. Mother's milk. Now, Darcy C says this. Good evening, John. I am very suspicious about the Lahaina fire. Burnt to the ground, or did it have help? And of course, the global elites are throwing their money to rebuild it. Smart city, of course. The bodies aren't even cold yet. They are evil. All right, folks. Once again, I'm going to use this super chat, and thank you, Darcy T, to kind of compare that to the Patriot Front. So, the bodies aren't even cold yet. The ashes are still smoldering. Lahaina town and parts of Kaanapali destroyed utterly. But the World Economic Forum types, the global elitists, the Bilderberg types, the big money power, they're going to rebuild Lahaina into a smart city. That's what they're offering to do, is to help. They'll do that. They'll take full advantage of this and use it for their own benefit. And I'll tell you what, I felt that Lahaina already was a smart city. I knew exactly where to go when I was there to get what I needed. Grocery store, restaurants, the beach. Crazy. If they're going to make it a smart city, huh? Wow. They'll take full advantage of this situation. Yet, the same people, the World Economic Forum types, won't take advantage of smearing Donald Trump, who they love to smear, and using the Patriot Front to smear you and I as terrorists. But they'll go after you and I as parents and say that parents are domestic terrorists. But the mainstream media won't go after Patriot Front, identify them as Nazis, tie them to Republicans. Why? Why are they ignoring the one yet going after the other? Like you, Darcy T, and thank you for the great donation. Like you, I don't trust these people. I don't trust any of them. That's why I am a prepper. I don't trust them and what they can do. The moment they want to do something, it can get very, very awful. Very awful. Whew. We got 20 minutes left in this session, folks. As long as super chat donations are coming in, I'll keep talking. And here's another one from Chin Music, another one. That's 3 tonight, Chin. Super chat, $4.99. He says, hey, commies are the reason we can't have nice things. That's right. Absolutely right. The reason we can't have nice things is communism. Not only, folks, do they steal all of our money, but they take people's desire to work hard. If you know you work hard and the harder you work, the less you get to keep, why bother? That's why we can't have nice things. Nope. You can't have nice things. But I'll tell you what, Chin, we should fight back. Not with violence. Oh, I won't promote that. You know, I would never promote violence or recommend anything harmful or dangerous. No, no, no. Even though I look to what the founding fathers did and say, yeehaw, good move. You know where I'm at on all of this, folks. When the music starts, we all get to dance. And some of us dance to a different tune than others. We'll leave it at that. But we need to fight back philosophically. We need to fight back legally. We need to fight back politically. We need to fight back in every way you can. You know, being a patriot is being a patriot. It means taking care of yourself and those you love, and that's what being a prepper is about. But prep to action, which was that nice commercial that Mr. T put together at the beginning of the show. Prep to action. Get prepared, take action. Understand what's going on around you so that you're aware of it. And those things you have, food, water, your shelter, your bunker, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, your plan. If things go bad, what do you do? Lights go out, what do you do? There's no gasoline at the gas station, what do you do? No electricity, no water, no law enforcement, what do you do? Right? That's why you're prepared. And while things are good, while the lights are on and there's fuel and water and food, we should be fighting back. Now, Baylor University, Baylor. Guess what? The LGBTQ fruits have been complaining. That's right. The students are mad because they're being discriminated against. People are harassing them at Baylor. Well, guess what? Baylor is a religious college. That's right. So they've been granted a religious exemption. Now, so inside higher ed, which is a group, whatever you want to call them, a group, a news, an internet website. Inside higher ed is reported, quote, Title IX bans discrimination based on sex and also requires colleges and universities to prevent and address sexual harassment. However, religious colleges and universities can seek an exemption if the requirements aren't consistent with the religious tenets of the organization that controls the institution. So Baylor, folks, is a religious institution. And so they are exempt from telling their students. They're exempt from telling their students, knock it off. Now, what's amazing to me is California State University, Illinois State University, New York State University, any state university. Oh, shit, man. Those colleges are not religious in nature. They're secular. Yet they're allowing the LGBTQ crowd to harass sexually. Normal people. Yet those colleges under Title IX are not stopping the discrimination and sexual harassment. So as far as I'm concerned, the LGBTQ plus crowd can shove it and go to a non-religious, secular, pro-homo, pro-cut your dick off college where Republicans are more than silenced and discriminated against, where they are assaulted and even raped. That's right, folks. I said the R word, raped. But schools like Baylor, religious schools, I think it's great. They found an exemption. So why the hell would an LGBTQ plus student want to go to a religious institution if to do nothing more than try and destroy it the same way they try and destroy everything else? Morals, decency, even innocence. That's right. They're here to destroy the innocence of children. Whew. Okay, we're at the 1 hour and 44-minute mark. We might as well just say 1 hour 45. We got 15 minutes left. And Mr. Uman is telling me there's something going on out there, something brewing behind the scenes in the comments section, in the super chat zone. He says it is double shot time. Well, I've only got my bullet shot right there. The 30 caliber, let's get it on shot glass. We got Yahweh Elohim with a $100 super chat donation. He says, great to see you, John, from M. Townsend in Idaho. Looks like we're going to be doing 2 shots here, says Mr. Ooman. The Glenlivet 18. This is gonna put me over the edge right here. By the way, not only is a big thank you to Yahweh Elohim. It's a big thank you. And I got to work tomorrow, so let's not kill the John. I got to get up. Zero Dark 30, just like always. It's not all aquatic adventures for me, folks. Woo! There's one. Now, normally, anything more than $50, I just call it one shot. But I think Ooman is trying to let me know that if we do 100, that's worth 2. Holy crap! I put out that $500 challenge. Was that last week? $500 challenge. I'd tase myself if someone put up $500. I was like, I did it. I was waiting. No one took that challenge, but they take this challenge. Anyways, once again, Yahweh Elohim Shalom. Like mother's milk right there. Smooth. God bless the Scots. Whew. And it's good to see that we have a great audience tonight. We got close to 500 people live, folks, all at once. There'll be thousands that watch this video. Thousands that will watch this video by the time it's done. So share that internet address. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't done it yet. And be sure you've subscribed down below. Not only subscribed, but also hit the notification bell. And another thing, Blue Cord Devil is showing up. Oh, good golly. With a 5762, folks. That's $50 plus a 7.62 caliber super chat donation. Okay. Here we go. This one is for Blue Cord Devil. Once again, Blue Cord, my condolences, my sympathies for your loss. He says, just saw you take a drink of Glenlivet 18. So I opened a new bottle of it myself. I really love the Glenlivet, folks. I like Glenfiddich as well. He says, cheers to my beloved wife. May she watch over all of us. Godspeed, Semper Fi. There we are. Thank you, Blue Cord Devil, very much. All righty, that was 3, and let the lightheadedness begin. All right, here we go, folks. Let's get into it. GOP congressman has introduced 4 articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. Did you hear about that? Ooh, man, did everyone hear about this? Not 1, not 2, but 4. Count them, 4 articles of impeachment. Sounds like we got something serious here. Where's McCarthy? What's that guy's title? Speaker of the House? He's supposed to be a Republican? Yeah, Kevin McCarthy. What is that? What? I don't know what the fuck that one means. That was a weird looking emoticon. Folks, Kevin McCarthy. Kevin Do Nothing POS McCarthy. Lives with Frank Lutz. Lutz the Putz in Washington, D.C. What's that tell you about McCarthy? Now, yawn on what, man? What are you yawning for? You going to bed? Is Zoo-Man tired? All right, man. Where's McCarthy and where is the media? 4 articles of impeachment. And this is not the first congressman. Nothing is going to, of course, nothing's going to happen. That's what you're yawning about. That's kind of my point here too. Is but once again, more articles of impeachment, right? This time, Republican Representative Greg Stube of Florida. Now, that's kind of why I like this story, is these Southern guys are a little bit more cantankerous than the other Republicans around the country. But 4 articles of impeachment. And this, he says, several congressional committees are building a multi-pronged case to remove Biden from office. All they can do is impeach him. That doesn't remove him from office. You got to take the articles of impeachment and then go to the Senate. The Senate has to hold a trial, if they care to even take it up. Hold a trial and then find him guilty or not. And then if he is guilty, then they can decide what the punishment is. Removed from office or not. So, the Florida congressman thinks that this building process, they're building a case, right, multi-pronged to my ass, right? Stube says it's long past time to impeach Joe Biden. I think you and I have been saying that since day one of the Biden administration, certainly after he opened the southern borders, certainly after he, has committed every just filthy act in trying to emasculate the military. And then, of course, Afghanistan, which is a crime against the military, national security, against civilians in America, American citizens left and abandoned. Yeah, it's been long past time. Why haven't the Republicans thrown McCarthy out of the speaker's seat and throw his ass out on his fucking nose? And he can just throw him out. Take him out of power and put in someone there who represents us, the people, and law and order and decency. Right? The congressman, right, Stube, says the evidence continues to mount by the day. The Biden crime family has personally profited off Joe's government positions through bribery, threats, and fraud. Joe Biden must not be allowed to continue to sit in the White House selling out our country. Folks, what's important here is to note that not only is Mr. Uman correct, there'll be crickets. Nothing is going to happen because Stube laid out 4 articles of impeachment. Okay. What's important to note is that congressmen are saying these words, and it's a part of the congressional record. It's a part of the media record. It's part of the public record. First article alleges abuse of power. That Hunter sold access to Joe, vice president. And he sold promised access leading up into the 2020 election. Right? There's mounting evidence right now that this is happening. Selling access. The second article of impeachment alleges obstruction of justice and is based on the testimony of the IRS whistleblowers, which we have documented here, and is a matter of public record. It's a matter of congressional record. Representative Stube has accused the Biden regime of colluding, working together with, or conspiring, if you want to use that word, the DOJ to, quote, improperly interfere with investigations into tax crimes alleged to have been committed by Hunter Biden. The third article alleges fraud. He argues that James Biden, that's right, James, the president's brother, he used Joe in order to bring in investors into business ventures on false and fraudulent pretenses and promises. And the fourth article of impeachment alleges financial involvement in drugs and prostitution. Between 2010 and 2019, Representative Stube says, quote, thousands of dollars of Biden family money was spent on illegal drug transactions and prostitution. Those are all nasty, folks. Very, very nasty. They're not small items. Where does this go? Yawny yawn, right? That's what the media is saying. They couldn't give a shit. The uniparty Republicans couldn't give a shit. It is going to be you and I, folks, by giving a shit and screaming and yelling and sending faxes, carrier pigeons, angry beavers, whatever you've got. I strongly recommend phone calls, emails, text messages, etc., written letters to congressmen telling them we know what they're doing. They're allowing this crime to continue, and either they do something about it or we're going to make the, well, hard to argue with. It's hard to argue with it, folks, that they're involved in something illegal themselves, and that's why they won't do anything about it. That's an assumption based on the reality of the situation. These crimes have been committed. They're noted. They're public record, yet nothing is being done. Nothing is being done. Investigation after investigation after bullshit investigation. That's not going to solve anything. It's not going to fix anything. Action is what fixes problems, not investigations. Wow. Well, I just had to do it. Had to go there. Had to go there. And here we are. I want you guys to take a wild guess. Whoa. I tell you, nothing like a little Glenn Levitt to loosen up the sinuses. Hey, let's take a wild guess. A 17-year-old star basketball player in Alabama. Folks, a super athlete, a young man in the prime of life, not even at the prime. He's still got to get up to here, but he's right here. He's getting there. Alabama basketball player, star player, during a workout, not a game, not doing something unusual, during a workout, suddenly died. Suddenly died, dead. His family is confused. They're devastated. They can't make any sense out of it. Folks, I can make sense out of it. I can make sense of it, right? It's the Jim Jones juice. Yes, it's still happening, folks. It's still there. Whew. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not paying attention to what's going on out there. I don't want anyone to think that I'm just having a good old time, living the high life. No, like you folks, I'm out here trying to make sense of it all. And that's what we're doing. We're prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Prepared, understanding who the enemy is, having a plan to deal with enemies at all levels, keeping an eye on the world so we know when that time is here. All right, Mr. Ooman, I know we're running down to the last 2 minutes, but all of a sudden, we've got super chat donations, and it's Diorce with a $12 super chat donation, and he's got a 12-gauge Semper Paratus ready to go. He says, always ready, Semper Paratus. Semper Fortis, always courageous or always powerful. And then sic Semper Tyrannus, and thus always to tyrants. That is sic Semper Tyrannus. And most importantly, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Thank you, Diorce. It's good to have you as a brother. And this country, folks, is loaded with veterans, good veterans. Yeah, there's patriots who never served, and then there's patriots who served. And most of them, I have to say, lived an oath. Unlike Congress and those scumbags in D.C. and the state capitals, servicemen live the oath. Politicians, bureaucrats, big city law enforcement, do they really take their oaths seriously? Veterans do, folks. They do. Thank you, Diorce. Semper Fi to you, brother. All right, I think we got another one here. What do we got, man? We've got Truth Faction. Holy cow, I'm trying not to get in trouble, yet here we are getting me in trouble. Kapow. We got just a few shots of this one. I'm gonna have to go buy another bottle of the 18. Woo! Here it is. Truth Faction with a $49.99 super chat donation. And he says, hey, back again. You just can't get enough of the good stuff, I tell you. Truth Faction says, hey, back again. I lived in our neighborhood 10 years after you. Best time of my life was there. I think you were in the Corps when my uncles and I looked up to them and you so brotherly. Honest Eugene. Honest Eugene. That's good. I think I know what you're saying. Eugene. Engine. Anyways, thank you very much, Truth Faction. Semper Fi to you and all good Americans, patriots, real patriots. Thank you, sir. Little bit, wow. Mr. Uman, where are we at? Oh my goodness. It is Carlos Granados, our brother from the southern border down under. How are you, man? We haven't heard from you in a while. We got 191.10 Mexican pesos. That's a 1911, if you look at the numbers just right. 1911, which is my favorite automatic pistola. Badges. We don't need no stinking badges. He says, never let a crisis go to waste. That's what Rahm Emanuel said, and Carlos Granados is quoting him. He says, I saw at South California, I saw at a Southern California Walmart that underwear are under lock and key due to shoplifters. Insane. Howdy from south of the border. Thank you so much, Carlos Granados. It is great to hear from you. Folks, this is truly an international show. Australia, the Netherlands, Mexico, Argentina. We've had people from China, people in, at one point, it was either Russia, Scandinavia. We've gotten kroners. We've gotten rubles. We've gotten, I think, denaries. Have we gotten rupees in Super Chat from around the world? Truly, it's an audience, folks. Truly, it's an audience that is worldly, sees things around the world. Thank you very much, Carlos. I would hit you with some of my Spanglish, man, but it's shot right now at the moment. I guess maybe, I think sometime this week I'll have to break out my best hasta luegos. But for now, we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to let you guys know I appreciate everything you do as patriots, as Americans, as people of the world who believe in morality, decency, and law, the real law. Godspeed to you all. Get prepared. Semper Fi.